They had given up their nuclear program. They were not launching attacks against U.S. personnel. This is entirely a conflict of choice by this president.
The people that opposed the Iran nuclear deal said, well, in 15 years, they'll be able to restart their program. Now they've restarted it after 5 years, the exact worst consequence.
All right, Democrats calling out President Trump, hinting at a potential nuclear crisis in Iran after the regime says it's no longer following any of the rules of the nuclear deal.
But has Iran ever followed that agreement, or has it been playing by its own rules? We're joined live by Muslim scholar Dr. Qanta Ahmed. Thank you for being here, Doctor. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
So what do you think? How much of the rules do you think they've played by, if any?
Well, I mean, that's a great question, and that was always the tension in the deal. Certainly the deal is off now. The 2015 deal is off, and they've said that they will no longer restrict the number of centrifuges they're using, which is what they use to enrich uranium towards making nuclear weapons. But if we think back to just Pakistan, which you remember does have a nuclear weapon, it also did that covertly. And Iran has far more imperial ambitions on a global scale. So I never really believed in the sincerity of their commitment to the deal. Interestingly, Iran is saying that they are still going to maintain engagement with the watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Association. Sure. But Europe is going to have more and more difficulty trying to contain that, because Europe has economic interests in Iran. And now that it says the gloves are off, they're also not going to be able to engage.
It's interesting that the former administration thought that the deal was so good, because it didn't, from what I understood, it didn't allow for surprise inspections. They had a heads up on anything coming in. It seemed like it would be very easy to conceal if you were trying to do something sinister. You could have concealed it pretty easily.
And also, for me, the greatest disappointment of that deal was that there were no other caveats attached to the deal. They did not require Iran to have any compliance with human rights.
Right.
And so,
or their ridiculous behavior throughout the Middle East.
They were the winners of this deal all along. And I think saying that it's suspended means the veil is off. We know that they're not complying. And there probably is already a regional nuclear arms race ongoing. Foremost with Saudi Arabia, who's expressed a lot of fear and reservation and seems to have been acting like a broker to try and calm tensions down.
What do you think is our biggest realistic threat right now, and are we equipped to handle that?
Well, we know that Iran has been waging a low-grade warfare against the United States for 40 years, since the Tehran hostage. So we can expect hybrid terrorism, hybrid warfare from Iran. Yesterday in Iraq, the leading Shia cleric, Muqtada al-Sadr, who now has political power, launched the revival of his Mahdi army. That is the notoriously lethal anti-American force that went to war with America during Iraq. So we're going to see more Shia militia. We're going to see more terrorism, but we should expect political assassinations, embassies being targeted, kidnappings, all forms of hybrid warfare, which Iran has been engaging with for 40 years, and that was not required to be contained as part of the Iran deal.
So Javad Zarif, the foreign minister, says that the death of Soleimani has unified his country. I think what a lot of people in this country don't realize is what Iran used to be and what this regime turned that country into. How do you think most Iranians really feel about what's happened here?
So, wonderful question, because you and I both know that Iran was an incredibly cultured, sophisticated, open society prior to the revolution, where women would be unveiled, dressed like you and I,
educated,
completely free, highly educated. And now Iranians are really not free to speak. The Iranians I know are not willing to even pick up the phone and speak, let alone text or email something, because they're at personal risk. We also know that those Iranians in the diaspora here in the United States or elsewhere that are brave enough to speak critically, their families are imprisoned or punished or worse now in Iran for doing that. We have to admit those scenes of millions of people attending the funeral.
Right. It scares people because they look so unified.
It is a mass event, and they're probably coming not through coercion, but through the recognition that Iran has been enormously humiliated by the United States, a humiliation that I think is appropriate. But it doesn't mean that they're politically supporting the Iranian regime. They were protesting for months and years prior and being killed by live ammunition by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard for those protests.
And let's not forget the country is broke because of the sanctions that have been put in place because of the way that their government behaves.
U.S. sanctions took Iranian oil exports from 2.8 million barrels daily down to 500,000 barrels daily. We can expect that squeeze to increase.
Yeah. We have to go. Was this the right decision by the administration?
Without question, it was a long overdue decision. It is being wrongly portrayed as an impulsive decision by the president. It was very considered. Iran provoked the United States by targeting ships in the Persian Gulf, by shooting down an American drone, assaulting Saudi Arabia, the most heinous act in 90 years of petrochemical industry. So this was a very calculated decision, and it was a service to humanity.
Absolutely. Doctor, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And we're coming right back.